And I invite you to start class lying on your mat. If you feel like that doesn't suit you, it doesn't work for you, then you're welcome to start seated. But lying on your mat is a beautiful space and a beautiful opportunity to truly recenter, to truly reconnect. So resting yourself down onto mat, take a moment to move around and shift around and stretch and reach, and let the movement come intuitively from within. So making this lying down on the mat a very, very conscious action. Consciously giving pelvis and sacrum permission to ground and rest. Consciously giving spine an opportunity to extend and expand. Consciously placing shoulder blades, gently sliding them down to hips without compressing center spine or lower back. And closing eyes, shifting head, maybe gently rolling it side to side to make sure neck is soft and relaxed. When I lie down, I sometimes press my head into mat a couple of times just to make sure I'm really resting it. I'm not holding on to anything unconsciously. And the hands, the palms facing up, let your fingers curl in as they do naturally. Let your toes flop outwards as they would do naturally. And for a moment, guide your breath into your entire body. Witnessing breath and just gently spreading it out. Imagine your body being a balloon, and with every inhale there's the most gentle expansion throughout, all the way into fingertips and toes. And then with your exhalation, this deep softening and surrendering physically into your mat, into the ground, and symbolically surrendering into here and now. So we're breathing out everything that is not part of this moment. And we're breathing in everything that is. Taking in sounds that we might hear inside our space or outside. Taking in thoughts that arise, thoughts that move through our awareness. Noticing sensations throughout the body, on our skin, and also inside our body, in our heart space or belly. Maybe there's a certain smell, a scent, a taste. We want to ground into senses, using our senses to ground into this moment. Noticing all thoughts that might arise, all judgment, all labeling, all concepts, all ideas. And without resisting or pushing, just acknowledging and transcending through that layer, that conceptual cognitive layer, into a space of depth. Into a space of pure being, where you are perfect and whole as you are, and where everything that is part of this moment belongs as a sacred component of this here and now experience. Sensing that essence within you. And I invite you to bring breath back into your awareness. And noticing and witnessing the flow of your breath. Witnessing as if breath was breathing you rather than the other way around. And bring attention to these little gaps between the inhalation and the exhalation, as well as those gaps between exhalation and inhalation. Without forcing or straining, let these little gaps widen. Consciously aware of these moments within breath when there's nothingness, nothing happening. Where there's this sense of fullness at the end of your inhale and also that sense of emptiness at the end of your exhalation. Notice how similar these spaces are, the fullness, the emptiness. Witness the dance between those two poles. Breath flowing in and out. And really allow your breath to be a full body breath, not limited to lungs, not restricted to torso, but as if your entire being was breathing. Letting the boundaries of body and space become blurry. Moving past these ideas of I, me, mine, and my body, and any ideas of separateness. Just be breath. Be this moment. Be the sounds you hear. Be the sensations you feel, and witness everything come and go. Flow. Notice if there's an intention arising for you today. An intention to align your practice. If nothing specific arises by itself, maybe simply set the intention of being truly present, each moment new, with every breath, as if you started life as a blank page. Practicing that throughout our yoga class, just for this time as an experiment. What would life feel like if I didn't know anything about who I am, if I didn't know anything about this world, if I simply was? With that sense of curiosity, with that sense of depth in your awareness, start to move. Let your body move you. Shift around, gently roll your hips. Gently roll your shoulders. Maybe you move your fingers, roll your wrists, your ankles. Shift your head side to side, dropping your cheeks down to earth, pointing and flexing feet. Gently reaching arms up and over, stretching yourself out, making yourself long, reaching. And then lifting knees up to chest, resting hands onto knees. We sway our knees side to side, consciously aware, feeling the earth massage your lower back. And if you like, wrap your arms around knees and hug them in tight, squeeze them in. And exhale, release your chest back down onto earth. Reach your arms out to the side, spread your fingers wide, reach your hands away. Another inhale here, witnessing, noticing, fully present. Then exhale, release your knees over to the right. Rest your knees, rest your feet into one another, into earth. Have a check-in, left leg, not holding on to anything, just releasing it. And then turning gaze towards left hand. See if you can reach a little further into left fingers. Open left ribs, open left armpit. Witnessing your body, the sensations. As if this was the first time you move in this body. And it kind of is, because this moment has never been here before. The you who's here has never been. So explore. Let's take a deep inhale. As we exhale, we deepen our navel to spine and bring our knees back to center. We stretch our arms up and over. We stretch our legs out. Reach and lengthen. Make yourself longer than you've ever been before. And bring your knees back to chest. Hands onto knees. Gently massaging the lower back. You might feel like opening and closing the knees, or you might feel like rolling your ankles, circling your feet. And then eventually hug your knees into chest, hug them in tight. Round yourself. Notice. Release your torso down, arms out to the sides. Another inhale here. As you exhale, navel deepens to spine and you release your knees over to the left. Resting knees into one another. Check into feet. Are you holding on? Let your top knee become heavy. Turn your gaze towards right shoulder, right hand. Continue to feel that depth within your presence, that depth in your breath. Every inhale, expansive. With every exhale, surrendering deeply. Another inhale. As you exhale, soften even more. Navel to spine as you bring your knees back to center. Let's hug them into chest one more time. Squeeze them in. Keep your chest and gaze lifted. Let's bring our feet down onto earth. Wiggle your toes. Gently ground your feet hip wide apart. And then see if you can slide your hands up. If you need to grab behind your thighs, you do so. Or just slide them up your legs. Deepen your navel. Roll yourself up onto sit bones. As you come up, your shoulder blades slide down and apart, away from one another. Widen your hands, open, lift your heart. And roll yourself back down onto tailbone. From tailbone into sacrum. And through the lower back, shoulder blades broad. Arms reach up and over with a lot of space. Let your thumbs touch the mat. Reach your arms up and over. Deep inhale here, and as you exhale, you start rolling up again. Hands come to thighs, maybe the hands on the thighs help, maybe they just slide along the thighs as you deepen your navel in, pointing knees up, reach and expand, slide your shoulder blades down. Gently lift one ear at a time, just lifting it up and away, and centering out, pointing tailbone away, rolling down. Notice every bit of sensation, every bit of movement, reaching arms up and over. Inhale here and exhale, coming up, rolling up. Beautiful. As we come up to seated, we find our sit bones, we find our tailbone, we find the space in between, the fleshy bit in between, the comfortable bit. And balance here on that comfortable bit as you gently lift your toes. Deep sense of lightness, the shoulders relaxing, turn your palms up, lift your collarbones, lift your heart, lift your navel, spread your toes out, watch your feet with curiosity. Hands to thighs, bring your legs a little closer, lift your heart a little higher, and then we'll open the knees, cross the legs, drop the knees outwards. Maybe shins parallel, but see what works for you. Hands on knees, gently rounding, rolling forwards and back. Moving forwards and back. And feel free to move into neck, into shoulder blades. Maybe you gently move side to side. Stay deep within your breath. You're welcome to have your eyes closed. Be deep in your breath, deep in your essence. Every time thoughts and concepts arise, move past it, move beyond it. Remember those gaps between your inhalations and exhalations, those moments of stillness. Find that within you, that which is spacious and still. And we lean forwards onto the front sit bones. If you like, maybe hand onto sacrum, gently tilting pelvis further forwards. Another inhale for length through front torso. As you exhale, you fold over your bent knee. You fold into your own perfect forward fold. Soften and relax. Let your body soften. Notice that we are a lot less dense than we often think we are. To come up, we bring our chin to chest, round ourselves up to seated. As we come up, we lift our legs. We lift them high. Let's cross our legs the other way. And again, shins may be parallel. Notice if there's a difference in the hips. Again, we'll move a little. We'll round and arch, or we'll circle and twist. No wrong, no right. Let your body guide you. Make space. Feel into body, especially those parts that might be grey or blind. And then eventually moving on to front sit bones, maybe lifting the sacrum, tilting pelvis further forward as you then drop your hands and drop your crown, drop your forehead onto earth. If your eyes are closed, take your inner gaze to the space between your eyebrows. Soften your knees outwards. Notice how sensations might make you want to contract, but keep softening. Chin to chest, roll yourself up to sit. Gently lift your knees, place your feet onto earth. It's a little wider than hip wide. Spread your toes wide. Ground all toes onto mat. And then lift the 3 center toes of each foot up and away. Spread them out wide. And relax them down. Without pushing, without forcing, we bring our hands back. We spread our fingers wide. Lift our hips to hover if we can. And draw circles around our hands. If you want, you bring your hips all the way to heels, shifting forwards. Maybe you bring your elbows all the way together towards one another. And then hips to hands, maybe stretching out legs as you hover here. Coming forwards again, open chest. Feel the stretch in the shoulders. Do movements that might not have a name, but that allow you to find a little space within your body. And if you like, you lift your hips coming into this tabletop position. Strong through your navel, have a look, let it drop to hips, to spine. Lift your hips, roll your shoulders back, widen your collarbones. Ground index finger base into earth. And slowly coming back down. Sit yourself into the space between your hands and then bring your feet in close. Roll over your feet onto hands and knees. Spread your fingers. Notice what awesome feet your hands actually are. Spreading fingers wide and maybe checking in again. We've warmed up our wrists. You want to make sure there's no tension, no strain. How about we lift our palms and just gently stretch into fingers, consciously rolling from pinky finger to index finger, making space, rolling shoulders forwards and back. And we'll ground our hands down as we inhale, lifting sternum, lifting sit bones. Hug your elbows into hips, and you might have done this a million times in your life. Challenge yourself to see it new every time. Collarbones wide. Feel your shoulder blades reach to hips. Lift your sternum, lift your chin. And as you exhale, round yourself out. Point your tailbone down. Lift your navel up and in. Broaden your shoulder blades apart. And notice and remember that there's never a there. We're never there. There is no there. We're only ever here. Inhale to arch, flow with your own breath. Exhale to round and arch and round. And you might want to bring in a rolling of the shoulders. You might want to bring in a circling of the hips. You might want to slide your shoulder blades up and down your back ribs towards one another and away from one another. Loosening up. All this tension we create throughout our day, let it go. Let it go. Fill yourself with breath and sensation and movement until there's no space for thought. Until you're fully here. And then when you're ready, tuck your toes under. Lift your knees to hover, starting here. And then feel your hands press forward as your hips reach back. And then slowly unfolding your legs. You might want to start one foot, the other foot, shifting hips side to side. Maybe lifting both heels high. Stacking your heels above your toes and
Also stretching out from big toe to pinky toe, just like we did with our hands. Watching, noticing body. Release your heels down. Have a look forwards. Are the hands still grounding? Trusting the hands. As you look forwards, again, bend one knee at a time. Poke your sit bones up high. Feel free to roll your hips and roll your shoulders. Have your elbows point to back corners of your mat. Lots of space around the heart. Take another inhale here and exhale. Drop your chest, drop your head, drop your armpits to earth. Shake your head no. And nod your head yes, resisting nothing. Embracing this downward facing dog exactly as it is. And from here we come back onto hands and knees. Grounding into left knee, shift your right leg back. Keep your toes on the mat. Gently press your heel back. And then lift your right heel up. Lift your left hand forwards. Let your right hand take weight. Lift your gaze. Look along your left fingertips up in front of you. Point your right toes back. How long can you become? Can you still point your right elbow to right corner of your mat and breathe deeply into it? Checking into navel, lifting, lifting, as if pubic bone and sternum were connected, as if there's a big bungee holding that, reaching. Another inhale here and exhale, hand and knee onto earth. The toes tapped under, right knee onto mat. Left leg stretches out, gently stretching into heel. Check into elbows and shoulders, keep your chest wide, lift your left heel high. Notice if there's a difference. Right arm reaches forward, left toes point back, looking forwards along your right fingertips. Make yourself longer than you've ever been while your shoulder blades still strive to hips. Lift your navel. Be really precise, be fully conscious in your body. Lift and lengthen. Flow with your breath. And hand and knee down, toes tucked under, knees lift to hover. Hips shift back, hands press forwards, downward facing dog. Lifting hips up high, shifting side to side. Lift one heel at a time. Look into the space between your hands. Keep looking there as you ground your weight into left leg, rising right heel high. Elbows pointing to back corners of your mat. If you can lower them a little, feel free to do so. Keep your chest lifted high. Keep your hips level. Reach your right heel high. Drop your left heel low. Lift both kneecaps up. Another inhale here. Exhale, right leg down. We swap sides. We witness our right foot ground. We lift our left leg up. We look into the space between our hands. Left foot flexes. Left heel rises. Right heel melts down, both kneecaps lift up, hips parallel, reach a little higher, notice the difference. And the leg comes down. We gently walk our feet slightly apart, toes pointing outwards and squat. So just walk your hands to feet. Maybe have your toes on the corners, on the sides of your mat, so standing nice and wide, shift from side to side. Roll your weight from left foot to right foot. If you want to come into toes and stretch them out, you can. Or you ground into heels. Bring your elbows to knees. Bring your hands to heart. Lift your heart. Slide your shoulder blades down. Open the knees wide. First, you help the knees with the elbows. And let's see if we can keep our elbows, if we can keep our knees wide while we lift our hands up. Can we lengthen our spine here in our squat without collapsing? Knees wide. Lift your pelvic floor. Lift your gaze. Lift your heart. Fingertips come down. And all we do is lift our hips up. Keep your toes pointing outwards as you strive your hips upwards. On your next inhalation, lift your chest forwards and up in your own perfect range of movement. And exhale, fall deeper from the hip joints. We lift up, lifting gaze as we inhale, as we exhale, we come to squat. If we bring our elbows, our hands to the outer knees, gently shift our feet inwards, come back onto hands and knees. The toes are tucked, we shift up into down dog. From down dog, we walk our hands to feet. We gently slide our hands up our feet, onto shins, onto kneecaps, hugging them. Bend your knees, lift your gaze, lift your sit bones. Take a deep inhale here, lots of length through the legs, through the spine. And exhale to just gently fold. Let your arms hang, let your head hang. See if you can rest your belly, your lower ribs onto thighs. Shift from side to side. Spread and lift your toes, drop your toes, soften out. Lifting into sit bones. From here we lower our hips, point our tailbone forwards and round ourselves up to stand. And really enjoy this rounding up. Feel this stacking through feet, hips and spine. Come up, roll your shoulders back a few times. Opening chest, taking space. Maybe palms facing forwards and up as you strike your thumbs towards one another. Lifting sternum, broaden collarbones. And let's inhale our arms up. We sit back onto that chair that's never there. We cup our hands onto knees, pushing them back a little more. Lift your heart forward. And then exhale, folding, releasing. Spine softening, sit bones rising, reaching. Spread your toes, notice whether the toes are holding on to mat, wiggle them out. Feel your feet grounding evenly. Bend your knees, look forward, and we'll walk into plank. So in your own way, find your plank. Spread your fingers wide. Bring your feet a little wider than the hips. Nice and wide. Press your heels down, down and away. Press the crown of your head forwards. Point your tailbone to toes or down to earth. Lift your navel. Hug your center. Hug and embrace your navel center. Keep the shoulder blades sliding down to hips. Lift your back, head back and away. And if this is a bit much, the knees can always help you. Have a focus on the length in your spine. Not compromising there. Really long in your spine. And then lift the knees if you had them on the mat. Let's roll onto outer left heel. Witness your right heel also roll down. Pressing into the heels and lift your hips a little higher, just that. And if there's a little more power, a little more energy, just rising the right hand up. Keep pressing into feet. Open your heart back, reach your hips forwards, maybe looking up at sky. Stacking shoulders, stacking arms. Another inhale for space. And we exhale, witnessing right hand come back onto mat. We roll onto toes. And without pausing much, we'll roll onto outside edge of right foot. Pause here for a moment. Lift into navel. If you want to stay here, you stay. If the left arm wants to lift, it may lift. Press your feet into earth. Lift your hips. Heart back, hips forward. Maybe looking up. Expanding up. Lots of space. Breathing. And left hand comes back down onto earth. Finding plank. From plank, the knees come down. The toes point back. And we settle our sit bones onto heels. Let your hands reach forward. So create a long line from sit bones into fingertips. Roll your shoulder blades apart. So elbows pointing down to mat. Feel that stretch along the armpits, along the side body. And then lift your gaze, look forward. Spread your fingers, ground them into earth. Roll yourself forward onto hands and knees. Drop your hips and lift your heart. So you want to make sure your hands are under your shoulders or slightly in front. Roll your shoulders back, lift your heart. Let your hips, your hip flexors soften. Maybe gently rolling left to right, right to left. Lifting heart a little more, lift your navel. And then shifting back onto hands and knees. Finding child's pose. Pausing here, elbows point down to earth. Coming up, rounding up. like a wave flowing through your spine. The hips come down, the heart lifts high, elbows tucked into hips. Lift your gaze, lift your chin, lift your sternum. And then coming back up, pressing knees down, lifting navel, finding child's pose. And we'll do that one more time. We'll round ourselves up. We'll drop our hips and lift our heart. If you like, stay on your knees. If you want, press your feet into mat. Lift your knees. Lift your thighs. Point your tailbone down away. Lift your heart. Roll your shoulders back. And we find our way into down dog, your own perfect way. Reaching hips back and away. Reaching into down dog. Lifting sit bones. Ground your hands into earth. And then walk your hands to feet. Find your hands sliding up your feet. Sliding up your shins. Cupping your kneecaps. Elbows hug in. Inhale. Lots of space. And exhale. Gentle forward fold. Consciously witness where the weight is in your feet. Shift it forward. Shift it back. Wiggle your toes, ground through feet, really earth through your feet. Point your tailbone down and round yourself up to stand. And roll your shoulders back as you come up. Literally unfolding yourself as you come up. Opening up spaces, opening up throat and heart. And on your next inhale, arms come up. Soften shoulders down as you exhale and inhale to stand a little taller. Let's lift onto toes. And witness, how does that feel? Let's bring our arms a little bit wider. Turn our palms forward. Spread our fingers wide. Slide our shoulder blades down. Keep our collarbones wide. Keep your heels lifted high. Kneecaps drawing up. Tailbone pointing down. Navel drawing up. And simply witness. How does this feel, standing like that in your space? Being here, breathing here, this moment. And your next inhalation, bring your hands back to center. We exhale our heels down and then shift our hips back into Utkatasana. Utkatasana becomes forward fold. Lift and lengthen through your back legs. Have the intention of dropping crown onto feet. And looking forwards, find the front of your mat, find your plank. Again, bring your feet wide. And one more time, we'll roll onto outside edge of left foot. Inner right heel comes down. You might want to stay here. Or you might feel like, oh, let's lift again. See how this might feel different. And if you feel balanced and courageous, the right leg might want to lift as well. But it doesn't have to. Be where you are, expansive. And let's bring the foot down to where it was. Bring our right hand down, come into plank. You're always welcome to rest on your knees or come straight onto the other side. Heels come down. Pause for a moment. Make your body as long as it can be. Rising arm up, pausing, maybe rising the leg up. Expanding, exploring, witnessing yourself to be so wide and spacious. And coming back over, plank. Inhale here, exhale, down dog. Pause here, pause in down dog. If down dog does not feel like a pause to you, bring your knees onto mat. We'll stay here for another 3 breaths. Enjoy them. Every inhale, deep and wide. With every exhale, you surrender. You surrender everything you think you know about yourself, about this moment. Continue to let go, to let come. Really opening yourself up to every moment to evolve as it needs to. Another deep inhale. As we exhale, we lift our heels, bend our knees, look at the space between our hands. We have no doubt, and let our left foot land there. Come onto fingertips, right knee comes down for a moment, onto mat, right toes point back. Align your leg with the mat. Gently sway side to side. Gently opening hips Beautiful. How about we lift our heart a little higher, slide our shoulder blades down. Can we keep our fingertips on the mat as we lift our chest? Can we keep pointing our tailbone down? Can we keep our lower back and sacrum wide as we lift into heart? Really letting the shoulders relax. Really adding weight, adding gravity into hip joints. And if there is more space, maybe you can maintain this shape as you rise your arms up. None of that needs to happen. Pause where you are. And let's bring our hands back down. Let's just gently shift our hips back, folding over our front leg. Wherever that might be. So you might be here or here. You might be able to go further. Wherever you're at, once you're in your maximum, can you still sway your hips? Can you gently roll them, move them? Is there still space? And then coming forwards again. Right hand under right shoulder, left hand onto left knee. Just gently shift your left knee a little further forward. There's not much weight in your right hand. You're in your hips, reaching left arm up. Beautiful. If you feel like exploring, maybe right foot presses into mat as your right knee lifts. And right knee back down onto earth. Left hand back down onto earth. Fingertips gently touching mat. Back toes tuck under, back knee lifts. Knee above heel, lift your gaze. And as you exhale, you fold over your front leg. You extend your front leg. Let's do that again. Inhale, lifting. Knee above heel. Back heel. See if you can drop it backwards. Fingertips super light. Just there to help you to stay grounded. And then exhale, straightening front leg to wherever that is for you. Folding over the leg and coming forwards. Bring your hands onto knee. So knee above heel, hands onto knee. Gently holding the knee with lots of support, kindness, gratitude. And if you want to stay here for a moment, you stay and simply feel what happens in your body being here. If you want to take it a step further, you might want to come onto left foot, balance here. As you rise your right leg high, keep lifting your chest. Lift your right leg, keep your left knee bent. Notice how the knee wobbles. Breathe it out, relax it out. Really become at home here. Be here. And we'll step our right foot back down. We land, we might need a bit of adjusting. We keep our left knee above our heel. Bring our hands onto hips as we straighten up into lunge, tailbone tucking under. Maybe the arms want to strive up, turning palms forward, spreading fingers wide, and bringing our arms slightly wider, really claiming space. And then we go deeper into that spaciousness as we roll our back heel down, opening space into warrior two. Very powerful pose. Grounding into feet. Turn your palms down, press your hands down, and move around like we did in our Shavasana. Just gently moving. Find space. Lengthen into it. Let your hands rest on space. Turn your gaze to your left hand. And let's drop our right hand down. And slide our right hand to outer right ankle. See if we can. But we're not contracting, we're not collapsing. We are taking space as we reach back. Front knee forwards, left arm up, reaching it back. Beautiful. Front knee forwards, legs spread wide, reaching up. And we come to center, warrior two. Now keep your hands out here, hands rest on space. And then we turn our left toes forwards so we end up with the pinky toes parallel to one another. Grounding into feet evenly. Shift your hips back, lean your heart forwards. Align your spine with earth. Your arms, your hands resting on space. If they are heavy today, maybe hands onto hips.
Grounding feet evenly. Keep lifting kneecaps up. Inhale here and exhale, fold all the way. Hands might come onto mat or they might not. Your head might drop. Sway from side to side. Check if there's a difference between the leg. You might feel like swaying from, so bending one knee at a time and moving over from one side to the other. And then find your center again. Lift your sit bones a little higher. Come onto fingertips. Lift your heart, lift your gaze. Arch your back. Lift your sit bones. Really feel your back leg expand. And then fingertips under forehead. Left hand. Let's do left hand under forehead. Either fingertips or hand flat. You can also be on a block. And right arm rises up. We follow right hand with our gaze if we can. Let this right hand be an expression of the opening in your chest, in your shoulders. So align your arm with your collarbones. Beautiful. Let yourself, your legs sink into gravity and really open wide. And another big inhale here, big exhale to go a little deeper. And bringing right hand down to left hand, where left hand was, maybe fingertips, maybe hand flat. Relax your right shoulder and then left hand comes up. See if you can follow left hand with your gaze. Open chest wide. Grounding feet deeply into earth. Arm alignment with your collarbones. Open wide. Another deep inhale. And as you exhale, your hand comes down. Inhale for length through your spine. So your heart lifts, your sit bones lift. And as you exhale, you fold. Your hands might slide outwards to ankles. Or your hands might slide backwards, moving you deeper into the space between your feet. Notice where your weight is. Move it towards the front feet. Make your heels light. Lift your sit bones higher. Another inhale here. Exhale to soften deeper. Bring your hands forwards. Bend your knees slightly and then reach your arms out to the sides. Inhale here and exhale, coming up to stand. Beautiful. We turn our left toes towards the front side of the mat again. Find ourselves in warrior two. Very good. And then we sway our right hand past our hip. Roll our right heel to be above our toes. Find ourselves in lunge warrior. Notice how your body moves through space, maybe opening a little wider. And we bring our hands down onto earth. Feel them ground. And then reach your left foot back. Three-legged downward facing dog. How about we open the hip? We bend the knee. See your right knee. Where's it pointing? Can you point it at right hand? Open left knee wide. Drop your right heel low. And left foot steps down onto mat. And all we'll do is bring our knees onto mat, knees connected. Point your toes and release your sit bones onto heels. Release your forehead onto mat. Melt your armpits down to earth. Melt your elbows down to mat. Soften in this child's pose. Not holding on to anything. Consciously giving yourself into gravity with every exhalation you take. Let your breath flow through body. Nowhere else to be but here and now. Breathing and experiencing every moment of this fully. Another big inhale. Exhale to soften and surrender. And then all new coming onto hands and knees. Tucking toes, hip wide, knees lift, hips back, down dog. Have a look forwards, lift both heels, bend both knees. Lots of space between body and earth. See the space between your hands and let your right foot land there.
Bring your left knee onto mat. Point your left toes back. Maybe having a look parallel to mat. Find a moment to sink into this, to feel into this. Let your right knee be above your heel and let gravity pull you downwards. If there is space, you might be able to stack your shoulders above your hips. Feel your tailbone point down and forwards, your sacrum wide, fingertips maybe still on mat as you sink a little deeper into hip flexors. Chest and heart wide and open. And notice where you're resisting. So we're not consciously pushing into anything, we're simply being with gravity, being in this body, witnessing and experiencing. Another inhale. As we exhale, we slowly lean forwards and shift our hips back. Now see what this side feels like. As you move forwards and back, maybe the front leg can straighten or anywhere towards that. Can you still roll and move your hips? Might there be aspects of your hips that you never stretch into? You might be able to find them now. And we land with our knee above our heel. Our left hand under shoulder, right hand onto knee, gently sinking a little deeper, just opening wide. And then right fingertips come back onto mat. The back toes tuck under. Now what did we do? We lifted our knee here. So let's, exactly, right hand onto knee, and then can we lift our left knee up as we press our left foot into mat? And if we want to add our arm, we can do that too. Beautiful. Playing. Left knee back onto earth. Right hand in line with heel. Fingertips light. Let's shift it back. Oh, one more time. Knee above heel. Back toes tuck under. Lift your back knee. And before we come up, we lift our gaze. Knee above heel. And then we straighten out our front leg. See what that feels like. Coming forwards, knee above heel, lift your gaze, lift your heart, fingertips super light. And then as we exhale again, we fold. Maybe lift and lengthen and fold again. And then knee above heel, hands slide up the shin onto knees. Gently cupping, hugging, lightness, not leaning, just holding, acknowledging, supporting. As we come onto right foot, and we might stay here, or the left leg might actually lift. Now, right knee bend, and yet we maintain this feel, this idea of spaciousness. So pressing right foot into mat, not collapsing into right hip, but making lots of space, spine long, pelvic floor lifted, and stepping it back, slowly, mindfully, witnessing, coming up. Hands onto hips, coming up, tailbone down, lift and lower your back heel a few times. If you like, rising arms up, spreading fingers wide. Inhale here, exhale, shoulders down. Inhale, grow your crown. Hands slightly outwards. Claim space. Spread your fingers, spread your hands, spread your armpits. Point your knees slightly apart. Yeah, good. Claim space, very good. And from here we open into warrior two. So roll your back heel down, bring your arms out to the sides, and open wide. Reaching out, hands rest on space. We're as fierce and spacious as we possibly can be. Beautiful. We don't need to hold on to our arms, they are resting on pillars of space. Let's drop our left hand down without collapsing, so you're still lengthening long. You're just sliding your hand towards foot, right arm comes up. Feel yourself lift through pelvic floor into crown. Right hand and expression of that. Strong, strong center, soft periphery. Coming back to center, warrior two. Turn your right toes forward, straighten leg out. Inhale here, feet parallel. Exhale, folding. An extra breath halfway with your spine parallel to earth. And then exhale, folding all the way. Hands wherever you want them to be. On your feet, on your hips. Maybe interlocked behind you as your arms come up and over. See what works for you. Wherever you're at, open your heart. Lift your sit bones high. Trust your feet. Trust gravity. Trust this moment. Then coming up, strong through your center, coming all the way up into the star shape. Wide and spacious, turning right toes outwards. Biggest, most spacious warrior two. Left hand sways past the left hip. Witness yourself roll onto left toes. Left hip forward, rising up. Inhale here and exhale, hands onto earth. Let your hands ground. Shift your right foot back, three-legged downward facing dog. Maybe opening the knee, opening wide. Looking forwards, making space, and leg down. Knees open wide this time to the edges of your mat. Coming into child's pose. Forehead might be on your hands or it might be on the mat. You might be able to sink your chest into space between knees. You might be able to rest your heart onto mat. Wherever you're at, be there fully. Embrace everything that's part of this moment. All of it. Everything. If you want to stay here, you stay. If you feel like a join, you're coming into a cobra, opening hips, legs wide, legs long, fingers wide, heart wide, opening up. And we'll come back onto hands and knees. Move our legs out one way, come to seated. Shift your legs forward, straighten them out. Give them a little wiggle and a little squeeze, a little massage. Maybe all the way down to feet. Might we be able to draw the balls of our feet closer, lift the toes, spread them out. Might we be able to have our hands rest alongside our hips. Shoulders up and back and down, lifting hard, pressing hands into mat. If there's more space, you're welcome to gently hinge forwards, keep grounding the root of your palms. Challenge yourself, press your heels away. Press the back side of your knees down into earth. And then slowly leaning back, hands ground down, slide them back a little. If you like, you place your heels where your knees were, or you keep your legs straight. And then as we come up, pressing heels into earth, pointing toes down onto mat. Let your hips lift and let your heart lift. Let your head fall back if that suits you. Long line through your spine. Tailbone long, strong. Coming back down onto mat. Lifting onto sit bones. And then just slide your hips to feet. Stretch your legs out. Have a feel. If there's anything else your body needs right now on your way to Shavasana, this is your time to follow your body. So either you roll yourself straight down onto mat, find your Shavasana from here. You might want to, I don't know, come onto your head or onto your shoulders, or need another twist, or a happy baby, or a stretch or a squeeze. Not judging anything that might arise for you. On your way to Shavasana, take as much time as you need. Make it your own. Know and remember that there's no box you can fit into. No box you're meant to fit into. Once you are in your Shavasana, close your eyes. Shift around, flow and move until you consciously choose to find stillness. And you might want to anchor that with a deep inhalation. Deep, deep, deep. See if you can inhale deeper than you ever have. And then exhale through your mouth and literally exhale yourself into this moment. You might want to do that again. Inhaling deep and wide and exhale to soften. And then find stillness. Let your body be fully supported by mat, by earth. Close your eyes, soften your eyelids. Maybe turning inner gaze into the space between your eyebrows. Check into shoulders, are you holding on? Check into hips, thighs, are you holding on? Check into feet. Move back up along the shins, past the knees, along the thighs, into hips. Check into back body, are you holding on? Your shoulders, your ribs, soften. Meander your awareness down your arms, wrists, hands, palms, fingertips, soften. Check into shoulders and neck, soften here. Soften your lips, your jaws, your outer ears, your inner ears. The space between your eyebrows, your forehead. Soften your cheeks. Remain deeply curious with every bit of breath, every bit of inhalation, every bit of exhalation. Remain with this full awareness of this flow of breath, this flow of life that moves through you. Be aware of the deep layers, deep dimensions of this moment. Sense and feel your essence. Let all else fade away, drift away with every exhalation. Step into the spaciousness and light that you are. Be here. Make yourself at home here. Remember that this is where you belong. Remain with this inner stillness. Our mind wants to make us believe that the world out there is more important. It is not. There's nothing more important than our state of being. Everything out there will align automatically. Trust. Trust that the universe is a friendly universe, a good universe. Trust your own inner goodness. Let life flow, let it happen. Notice where your attention lies right now, this moment. Guide it to breath. Witness breath. As if this was the first time you're breathing through this body. Inspired by breath, gently come back into body. Gentle movements, or maybe just the idea of movement. Keep your eyes closed as you roll over onto your right hand side. Resting cheek onto earth or arm. Bringing knees up towards you.
Maybe wrapping your arms around yourself, holding yourself dear, without effort, coming up to seated, just stacking up slowly, eyes still closed. Remain inwards, cross your legs, sit high and tall. Find your sit bones, hinging forwards, back, side to side. Find your body stacking and aligning itself naturally. Bring your hands together and without effort, without contracting, rub them into one another. Shoulders stay wide, heart stays wide. Just rub them, sense and feel until there's warmth developing between your palms. We'll take that warmth onto our heart center as we stack our hands here. And simply feel. Feel your heartbeat under hands. Feel that warmth. Maybe light. Let this be a gesture of thanking yourself. And as we thank ourselves, we actually thank one another, embracing our connectedness. Let's inhale to lift and lengthen, and as we exhale, we just gently drop our chin to chest, bow the knowledge of our mind to the wisdom of our hearts. We sit up tall, we open our eyes. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this time and space with me. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.